Hi everybody, welcome to House of Antonia. I wanted to come on today and talk about why I do lineage healing and what specifically that means, and share a little bit about my story so that you can help better understand me and then how I'm able to assist you. And so all of this dated back to 2020 when my parents got a divorce, and through that I really learned and saw their characteristics that were flawed, whereas before I saw them as perfect and my parents could do no wrong and my parents are my heroes, my story. And it was just so interesting to, at that time, realize that my parents were just human, just like all of us. And so it took me on a journey of really breaking all of the patterns from my childhood and rebuilding myself and reparenting myself in a way of understanding who I wanted to be and what place I really wanted to operate from. And so it was a pretty tumultuous time. I was definitely in a depression because there was so much grieving and loss around my identity within myself, and then what I thought family was, and my relationships with my siblings and with my parents and with people outside of family. And so everything came crumbling and it felt like my world was just falling apart, and honestly, it was. It was. But then I was able to build back brick by brick. And at that time, I had gotten into therapy. And in therapy, I had learned boundaries. And then at that time, I'd also learned how to rewrite my patterning. It's like, okay, this is my thought, belief, whatever right now. How can I rewrite it as to something that's more resonant for me? But I think also being in a state of being so lost and grieving and being so hurt and upset, it's almost hard to understand what you really want, because at that point you're just in survival, you're fighting for your life. So it was a lot of also with that learning and unlearning some of the things that I had even set at that time, or some of the things that I thought that I wanted that fast forward I actually didn't resonate with. And after a few years of therapy, she had recommended me to an EMDR specialist, and that's where I ended up really working through some of the trauma of the loss of a parent who is still living, and just the traumatic things that happened throughout that divorce, and just being too involved as a child in that. And then really stepping in as the savior role, trying to heal and help my parents, which was never my responsibility in the first place. But at that time, I just had no idea. And the EMDR helped tremendously, where I was really able to overcome a lot of the things that were haunting me, honestly. The stories just replaying into my head that almost had me falling into this mentality of just feeling stuck and feeling in this little loop. And so EMDR really gave me the ability to break out of that. And while it was the most interesting type of therapy I've ever been through, it really allowed me to see the light on the other side. It was the first time that I really felt oh, I think I can actually fully heal from this. But for anyone who's ever been through EMDR therapy, you understand the hose is just on and you don't know when you're gonna cry. It's almost just constant. You don't know when it's gonna happen, but when it does, you're bawling, and it's just very impulsive cries. But it was beautiful to be able to release a lot of that trauma that was stored in my body, and be able to break out of some of those stories and really be able to feel what it felt like to just get back into my own body again and really feel what safety, comfort, love, all of those things really genuinely feel again. So from there, I had moved back. I was getting EMDR while I was living in Miami, and I had moved, so I stopped getting therapy and EMDR therapy because I was no longer working a corporate job, and these things are expensive. And so I took about a year and a half to just be with myself. And granted, I had all of the tools and resources from years of therapy that I was now able to apply in my life, because it comes to a certain point when you're in therapy where you then just have to start acting on the things that you learn, right? Like, it's like going to school to be, a doctor or a mechanic or whatever. And it's like you can sit in a classroom all day and learn these things, but really you're going to get your experience from being on the job and with hands-on, operating on the person or working on the car. I digress. But essentially, it was like me just being in situations in real time and understanding how to act and how I was going to react, to that other person. And it was just very, very interesting. Again, a lot of trial and error, because we're not just like perfect, after years of therapy and years of going through and understanding these things. It's like you will have hiccups, and then you will, fall on your face and then get back up and be like, okay, next time I'm going to pivot and do things this way or say things, in this way. And it starts to feel a little bit more comfortable. And so then coming to Arizona, I now have my teacher who is teaching me to purify my body, and I'm doing all of this Qigong work and meditation work. And this has been the most healing that I've had in such a short amount of time, doing this mysticism work with my teacher now. And so all of this to say, I genuinely didn't think healing like this would be possible. And everybody grieves differently. And it really is so interesting when you start to understand why you go through the things that you go through. But when you're in it, you don't realize, right? But going through really like rough things, and everybody has their own trauma, everybody has their own story. It all happens for a reason. And so I think one of the most beautiful medicines in the world is going through something that is, deeply pivotal, that completely changes the trajectory of your life and the fabric of who you are as a human, and being able to share that with other people, being able to share your light, your wisdom, your healing. And in a sense, that almost also heals you as well. It's like this beautiful reciprocation. And so I really chose to focus my work on lineage healing, because so often people who do operate more in the 5D or in the spiritual space can sometimes tell that they're carrying trauma from lifetimes, from their whole lineage. And this is not just your mom. This could be your grandma's grandma's grandma and way back. And the cycle just keeps going through the daughter, through the son, whatever. And you need to be the one to just put a stop to it. And I will disclaimer say, this is not the job of everybody who comes here. This is, very specific people. And if you're listening to this episode, then you are that person. So congratulations. It's fun work, guys. It's fun work. But it is such a potent, important role, is to be the one to put a stop to what's happening in your ancestral line, and to say, like, enough is enough. It ends with me, literally. And so I want to be able to help all of you really understand and intercept these patterns, so that it's not getting passed on to your children, and so it's not getting passed on for the generations to come. And so it is really important to understand what's happening subconsciously behind the scenes, because so often we can be operating from the wounded space without even realizing it. And it also takes the awareness to look at yourself in the mirror and want to be like, no, yeah, I do recognize this within myself, and I'm ready to change. I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to take accountability for my part in these things. And I think when we go and do this work, people think like, okay, like I'm going and then I'm going to be all good. But it's like this work doesn't ever stop. This work never ends. It is a lifetime of work. And do things get easier? To some degree, yes, you learn how to heal faster. You learn how to recognize patterns faster. You learn how to surround yourself with the right people and set boundaries and, all of these beautiful things to create peace in your life. But this is no easy path. This doesn't mean that it's just, I get to do the work and now I'm done. It's spiritual awakening after spiritual awakening. It's death and rebirth and death and rebirth. And as you evolve, you keep shedding that layer before you. Shedding. And so it's just so interesting to be able to recognize these things, move through it, and then you're able to then help other people. You're able to then raise your child or hold your friends in a space that's with intention and with integrity because you've done the work. And so if you do want to work one-on-one with me, I do have offerings. They're linked in my link tree, which I'll put in this video. And they're also linked on my Instagram, House of Antonia Co. And we will really be able to go in and unpack different patterns in your life or places that you're feeling stagnant or things that are coming up for you that you need to look at in order to release and heal, because it is possible to get through this and to get over this. And while trauma lives in the body, it's important to be discerning in who you work with and know how to release these things and know how to move through these things, because there are a lot of teachers out there who will take you too high, and then you'll get to a point where you don't know how to come back down, or you'll heal maybe in the wrong way. And it's just a mess. And you want to really make sure that you're taking your time with this, that you're really understanding what's going on, and that you're in a space that's safe enough to be able to do the healing. You need to be in an environment where, these things are going to come up and it's going to feel almost like reliving the situation again. And so are you okay and in an environment that you can really go to somebody if you need them, and in a safe environment in your home to let it all out and cry and just be in that. And so there's just so many factors when it does come to this. But if you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to post them below. I would love to connect with all of you and hear your stories. I am here to help. I am here to hold space for all of you. And so this work is so gratifying when you can actually see the results, and you can actually face these relationships in a way that are healed. And it's like you're doing this from a place of love and of light and of working with your higher self and your spirit team of we are going to fulfill this contract, this soul contract that we came here to earth anyways to work through these things. And so it's to be able to go and achieve these things is just magical. It's wonderful. So if you want to reach out and work with me, my link is below, and I look forward to chatting with you soon. See you next time.